Man, we're already liberating Grust. I feel like we should take on all our problems this directly. I mean, imagine if we were saving Lang for like 20 chapters. Ugh, just imagine all the horrible things he could do. That's why it's better to just say, fuck it, we're killing him. We're already 2 rebellions behind actually doing that. We might as well catch up now. But the first barrier stood in his way. Hardin was now a giant, and he was lifting Olbern Keep on his back. How the fuck did that happen? Asked Marth. What the hell? Hardin, you were never a giant. What did I do wrong? We decided we're going to war with Arcania. You know, it's not like the decision was made for us or anything. Ugh, if only we had just a little more experience. What? The drill grounds? Tell me about these drill grounds. I'd like to know more. Mainly I'd like to know why every time the drill grounds come up in this game, it sounds like the characters are advertising it. They gotta sell it to each other. So, first off, as per usual, how's everyone? I say as per usual, but this has only been going since Chapter 2. Got 19 experience for a character I won't use. An elixir, that is a very good healing item, but I believe it's only 1 use? Alright, I actually kind of like Aaron's support conversations, so I don't mind that. I do mind that, though. I don't want to talk to Warren. I'm going to forget who he is in like 5 minutes. Alright, so the drill grounds are your grinding method for this game, and the drill grounds are essentially just an arena battle, but you have access to it from the menu. It's honestly not really that interesting. I don't particularly care for arena. I much prefer Awakening and Fates' method of grinding, because you actually get to play maps. Here, you just do the usual arena thing. You bet money, you attack a dude, make sure to quit before you die, because there is permadeath. And you really don't want a character to get killed off in this, right? That being said, though, there is a glitch you can exploit if you're playing casual mode, because characters that are removed for a chapter won't actually appear in the reclass option. So if, for example, you got a knight killed off, and you were full-on knights, you could actually reclass somebody into a knights. That being said, though, I'm not playing casual, so I can't do that. Anyway, though, how rude of me, we're talking to Seda now. Yeah, and that has a lot to do with cooking, as does playing outside. That seemed blatantly unfair. Oh, we're just ending that there. Alright, well, sure, we'll answer that question next time. And here we have a conversation with Katria. Now, I'm using Seda from this point onwards, so for this file, I'm not going to be getting any more use out of Katria. That being said, I figured I might as well show this off here, because I'm going to get it at about the same point as the Victoria version of the playthrough. We'll be seeing more of Katria in that version, of course. We're going to be seeing all of the Pegasus Knights. I mean, we haven't really seen Katria do that much. Iris, maybe don't lie to her? Iris, please, come on. You've seen the drafts, right? You know where we're going and who's going? You really should look at that ahead of time. I guess, to be fair, we haven't been to War Council yet. At least, you know, by my standards of having all the conversations and then the chapter recap and then the map and so on and so forth. I mean, yeah, probably. That's a weird question to ask. Oh, there's a monastery in Altia? Oh, whoa, there's a grocery store in Altia? Jeez. Whoa, buildings you can live in? Wow. Can't believe this is all in Altia. I thought it was just a castle. Excuse me, Rise? It's not just a thing you say under your breath. Rise, please don't make me regret taking you along. Because quite frankly, I'm pretty sure I'd regret taking any other healer along. Maybe we should just reclass somebody. Hey Linde, I know you're a powerful mage and all, but like, you are probably the least regrettable person who could heal here. Heh heh, Iris, the keyword there was. Yeah, back in the day my dad got killed by a powerful mage. It really sucks when that happens. I mean, to be fair, Iris, I don't think I've ever heard a good thing about your grandfather. Sir Mackler sounds like a gigantic fucker. He just had you train all day and do nothing else in your life. I don't know, I just think that's a bad practice. That's why you don't have any hobbies except hats, Iris. That's why your only outlet is headwear. I mean, they don't look that alike. They're a little bit different. I mean, I guess the joke is they did, you know, I think they shared the same sprite in the original. But to be fair, like, a lot of characters did. The joke here, of course, is Bord and Cord are almost exactly the same character. To the point where Cord's version of this conversation is pretty much exactly the same, including Cord referring to himself as the handsome one. We're not going to be talking to him, though, so we only need to remember that Bord's the handsome one, and I guess? I don't know. His face is also kind of weird, but I guess he's slightly better than Cord, question mark? Oh, whatever. Anyway, here's a neat conversation. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting the full version of this conversation at any point. Just this first one. I mean, it could just mean there's more than one reason to be a knight. I mean, people take this job for different reasons. For example, Katarina did it to... well, maybe that's not a good example. But, Luke did it because he's an asshole and an idiot. I think that means you're actually double qualified, Aaron. Yeah, you got it. Got it in one. You got it, Iris. You did it. That's honestly the entire answer. I mean, like, Iris's whole reason to be a knight is pretty clear-cut. She really wants to protect Marth. It's kinda simple, actually. Alright, and that's Aaron. Goodbye, Aaron. I think he has a similar background to Heath from Fire Emblem 7, if I'm remembering them both correctly. Similar, not quite the same. It kinda was before. They did really like intimidating us. It's just they intimidated us to do their bidding for them. I mean, really, now our relationship is more honest. Alright, so let's take a look at this here map. Now, this is a fairly big map, but thankfully, it's nowhere near as bad as Chapter 3. Now, that being said, we've got more ballisticians, and wouldn't you know it, Toras here has got an aerospate, which is double bad. He's the boss, meaning he has good stats, and he has a weapon that's good for taking out Pegasus Knights. So, not a very good chapter for them. We also have 3 familiar faces on this field. Let's maybe talk about 2 of them at least. The third, though, might not be able to do anything about him. Yeah. Has Ogma even ever held a job anywhere else but Talus? I think he's always just done mercenary stuff. For Talus specifically. No, he's red, but there's no green units in the DS games. Look, it's limitations. Just don't stab him, okay? It's not like he's gonna stab back if you don't stab him in the first place. Yeah, it seems like something he'd do. Alright, so we have 2 characters to recruit right at the start. But first... What are you so afraid of? You can launch a 90-kilogram projectile over 300 meters. I do love that. What are you worried about? We can kick their asses. Yeah, but George isn't around. Oh fuck, oh shit, oh damn. Why didn't you tell me that? Oh god, we're screwed. We're all gonna die. Fuck. Well, that seems like a thing I can do, given the ballista and all. I hate that guy. Fuck him. I love that he just gives the fucking Rohan response. Hey, that's Lang over there. I hate that guy. I'm just gonna leave him. Look, we're not going to commit treason. We're just going to be very lazy. There's a clear difference. We can argue it in courts. Captain George, I, the generic unit, am moved by your response and your dedication to us. You can't see it, but I am crying. God, I wish I had individuality and no helmets. Alright, so, of course, these characters are close enough where, provided you start, with Julian and Ogma in the front, they'll be able to recruit their respective characters turn 1. Oh, and, by the way, you can recruit Barst with board and cord. I've never actually tried doing that, but I like the Ogma conversation. Though that being said, what Barst said there is definitely incorrect in that case. He would still say yes to board and cord. And now for Rickard. Now, unlike with Barst, you can't actually recruit Rickard with anyone but Julian. Not even with Marth this time around. Now, I can't actually find it anymore, but I swear at some point I saw I swear I saw at some point a specific denial that Rickard actually likes Julian, and he's doing that flirty thing to fuck with him, but I can't find that quote anymore, so I'm just going to assume that's not canon. At the very least, let Rickard and Julian be exes, you cowards. Alright, so now that we've murdered a thief, possibly one who was working with Rickard, seems a little unfair. We recruit his boss and then we murder him. Bad day for that guy. Anyway though, yeah, let's talk about the new characters. So just like in Shadow Dragon, Barst is, of the 3 Talus Axe fighters, basically the best one. He is a little weak in the speed department, but other than that, his growth rates are all really good. He doesn't have the glaring weaknesses of board or cord, and really, his only weakness this time around is the fact that he doesn't join as soon as the rest of them does, so basically, they gave the other two a head start. The only other weakness I can think of is pretty much just he starts with a D rank in axes, so Board's got at least one thing over him. Hey, so you know how you have to have Julian in order to recruit Rickard? Yeah, so Julian is just flat out better than Rickard is, and unless Julian ends up dying, there's really no reason to use Rickard. There's never really a moment in the game in which you need more than one thief in a chapter. It might help in a few of them, but it's not going to be a huge help, and in terms of combat, Rickard just isn't anywhere near as good as Julian is. He does start at a lower level than Julian, but Julian's base stats are so much higher that it really doesn't matter, and God, Rickard's growth rates are just nowhere near as good as Julian's. His best stat is his speed, but that's the same. For the rest of the stats, Julian's just better. He's got better HP, strength, and oh god, he's got such better skill. Like, Rickard's low skill is honestly probably one of the worst things about him. I don't know why it's so low, and it doesn't help him at all. He also starts at rank E for swords, so like, he doesn't even have an advantage in having better weapons. Rickard, unfortunately, is just flat out a worse replacement in case you lose Julian, which is something you absolutely don't want to happen for reasons, but in terms of replacements, you're gonna be real disappointed with Rickard if you need him at any points. And thank goodness this time around we only have 2 new dudes. That being said, though, you might have noticed that Rickard has an item called the VIP card. We'll be seeing what that does by the end of the chapter. We're a little ways away from that, though. Alright, chapter strategy time. You're going to want to catch up with any and all thieves as soon as possible. Now, that's a little more difficult on Lunatic because they actually have different starting positions. Rickard is only 1 space ahead, but the other thief actually starts in the forest, and of course there's one near the trees, and there's an extra mage over there. In addition, how George works in this chapter is, provided you do not attack him, he and his units will not attack back. They made that very clear. However, in Lunatic, you can't even approach them apparently. If you get into their range, they will aggro. So, avoid doing that. It's fairly easy, though, even on Lunatic. That being said, you can take a little bit of time, because I usually take like 1-2 turns maximum more than I did here to take out that thief, but I much preferred getting rid of him with Sirius, just because that's super handy to have that javelin and to just kind of decimate the dude on the spot. That being said, even at this point, you do not want to waste time getting to that village, because there are still reinforcements. It takes a few turns for them to get here, but they are closer than you might think. In terms of like distance to the village, they look like they're far away, but they're not. That being said, though, now we do actually have time to deal with these cavaliers at a bit of a better pace. And by better pace, I mean Sirius just dunked that dude into a trash can. And god, that archer range. I really do not like that. I mean, clerics have the same range, and that is annoying for larger chapters like this, but at the same time, it's not like clerics need to be at the front row. It's fine if they're not. That's an alright level. So, if you're wondering about the southern path, naturally it is a lot closer to the boss, and you don't have to go through all this, but of course you do want to save that village, right? If you want to save the village and get a whole lot of experience from all the enemies over here, you know, go this direction. I'm only sending Board and the two new units down south. Board, of course, is going to be doing the dirty work down there. The other two are kind of just there because I don't really have space for them up here, and I don't really care that much. That being said, though, I'd say they'd be cannon fodder, but, like, even the stone hoist has a lot of ammunition, and I don't think their durability goes down even if they miss, right? Like, that's how it usually works, I think. I'm gaslighting myself because now I don't remember, and I'm actively trying to think of, what loses durability and when, but I'm not going to concern myself with that. Either way, the point is, you are not draining that stone hoist, and you are absolutely not avoiding that arrow spate long enough to remove that from play. I mean, technically speaking you could, but like, I don't know, you don't want to be here all day, right? Now, I could charge forward to take care of those knights a little sooner, but I'm not going to because that puts me at a lot of risk. The more that's over there, the more you get buffeted by when the enemy turn comes around. And, by the way, I'm gonna move Rickard here due to the fact that, in alternate takes, he dies. And here's the thing. So, I saved those save points, but of course I don't like showing saves on screen, so I just save state instead. The problem with that is, most DS games I've found have, like, set RNG, sort of. Basically, like, if you do the same thing every time, then the same things will happen. Now that, I believe, does not include movements. At the very least, it didn't include movement for me. But yeah, since that doesn't include movement, that means that, I couldn't really do much about Rickard dying other than just saying, fuck it, taking him off the fortress and then healing him with a vulnerary instead. So, you know, he wouldn't die horribly. I mean, I guess the other alternative was to restart the chapter, but like, fuck that. I'm recording this, I don't have all the time in the world. I want to run as clean as possible, but also, like, I would like to be, you know, done with this at some point, and the beginning of this chapter has a whole lot of conversations, and I don't like redoing those. Oh, there's some, very tricky sections in later chapters that are, like, at the exact points of conversations, and let me tell you, I have most definitely had to read through those recruit conversations again, and again, and again. It's the worst thing. Anyway, as I said before, that thief is closer to the village than you might think. I think it takes him 3 turns? He only just appeared, right? Oh yeah, and by the way, Rickard's just going to avoid the rest of the shots for the rest of the chapter because, of course I would only get the stupidly bad luck once. Alright, so he only just appeared. Now, is he actually in range of that? Okay, he's just barely out of range. Of course, the red spot is his attack range, so he could attack the village if he could stab the gates with his sword, but that's not a thing he can do. That being said, I'm still barring his way with Julian, because I would like to kill that thief. The village would be safe even if I didn't put somebody on it, but I did put somebody on it. And it would still be safe even if I didn't put Julian in the way. Now it's just double safe. In fact, after that crit, I'd go so far as to say it's triple safe. No, I don't think the math works on that, but fuck it, I'm not here for math. Alright, so, now we have the village open, and god, just seeing that range annoys me. Oh, hi, how's it going, Lena's grandfather, who looks like a generic old man? So, yeah, remember Lena's grandfather in the last game? I guess he moved, because he was... oh, shoot, where was he? Was he in, I think he was in Camus's chapter, wasn't he? So he would... oh wait, no, we're not in Macedon at the moment. I was about to say, whoa, he moved from Macedon, but no, actually. Despite the fact that I'm pretty sure Lena actually originates from Macedon, her grandfather did live in Rust in the previous game, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in the Camus chapter. Took him a lot longer to show up in Shadow Dragon, and of course he shows up sooner now that Lena's actually been kidnapped. Whoops, how awkward. Anyway though, that hammer and staff he gave us can repair weapons. Obviously, you don't want to waste one of those on like a generic iron weapon, so only save it for either special weapons, or if you happen to like craft a really good weapon. Like, if you actually spring for one of those, fully forged weapons, which again, I think is a little bit pointless, but if you happen to do that, it's actually a good idea to use the hammer on that, because that shit's valuable and pricey. The hammer and staff, by the way, only has 3 uses, so make sure whatever weapons you repair are weapons you really value. I usually never end up actually using the hammer and staff, but it is really good if you do happen to need it. Of course, I would have used it in Sacred Stones, but for some reason hammer doesn't work on Dragon Stones in that game. Thanks a lot for that, Intelligent Systems. More like jerk systems. More like they're fine with letting a character be obsolete systems. Anyway, I should stop rambling about a different game. There's actually a sniper down here in lunatic mode. He's like right around the front of these cavaliers. He's got decent range, so I don't know if his overlaps with the cavaliers, and I'm not going to do the math on that right now because no. That being said though, yeah, don't shove a Pegasus Knight this direction on lunatic. Of course, even on normal mode, it's really not advisable that you do something like that because, again, Toras has an aerospate. I cannot emphasize enough that taking him on with a Pegasus Knight is a bad idea, unless you really trust in the RNG to allow you to dodge that. You're better off just holding back with your Pegasus Knights. Now, if you happen to be doing an all-Pegasus Knight run, well, God help you. I don't know if that's like a type of run that people do, but I don't know, I figure some sort of reclass run must be a thing. I would think there'd be a gimmick run like that. So, by the way, I got super fucking lucky here. And, yeah, if one more of those attacks had actually landed, I would have died. Thank goodness stone hoists are very, very inaccurate. And hey, that was a damn good level up as well. Oh yeah, and of course this dude's got a javelin, but that doesn't matter. Cause, yeah, that would have only done 4 damage even if it actually hits. By the way, I am keeping Linde held back here because in every run of this game I've ever done, Linde just fares horribly against the Ballistae. She'd be really useful against them, but her range isn't amazing. Her movement range, rather. I mean, it's better than in Archers, but, like, not by much. And yeah, Toras will kind of just casually wreck her shits. I mean, it's really weird that a giant arrow being launched through the sky into your skull would hurt a lot, but I guess it just does. Weird how that works. Never would have expected that, and hey, thank goodness, we actually got a really lucky crit here, meaning I could just choose whoever I wanted to take this guy out. Well, goodbye, Toras. You were there, I guess. You were there and seemingly terrified of everything. Your birthday party will be ruined once again by your explosive flatulence. Your love life will run into trouble when your fiancé hurls a javelin through your chest. Alright, so, you might think we're done with that chapter, but do remember, we haven't found the use of that VIP card just yet. So, the VIP card is a special item that allows you to access the secret shop. Now, the secret shop, true to its name, is hidden on select maps throughout the game. This, of course, is the first one. You probably won't find any sort of secret shop without, like, a guide. I know I have to look up their locations. I mean, to be fair, I think I know them by heart at this point. I might miss one if I'm not in the right mindset, but, Technically speaking, I do think I could get there without a guide. But I do check it anyway, because I'm not fucking missing this shit. So, secret shops sell different items. This one only sells a single master seal, which is alright. It's good to have one of these early. Their stock depends on whichever shop you visit. Technically speaking, their locations do have some sort of indication in every chapter, but it's one of those situations in which you'll be damned if you're actually going to figure out what that indication is. I mean, I don't think we've really seized control of Grust. The castle is, as always, a very important part of all this. Oh, you say that like we're going to have to dismount.